Here we'll take a look at the General SEO Settings menu within Infigo. This page provides high-level control over SEO behavior of your storefront, along with giving you the ability to define SEO-specific information for storefront pages, such as the home page or basket pages. So from within your Infigo admin area, if we navigate to SEO Settings, we'll begin in the General tab, which controls the high-level SEO settings for your storefront. Each of the subsequent tabs give an identical set of inputs, allowing for SEO configuration on that particular named page. So for example, homepage, basket, one-page checkout, and so on. So going back to the General tab, let's take a look at some of the settings available on here. Later in this tutorial, we'll take a look at how these are utilized on the actual storefront itself. Firstly, we'll cover the metadata settings. So metadata is data or information that provides information about other data. So note, although sometimes visible by users, metadata is primarily present to assist machines. They can be used by browsers, search engines, or other web services to understand more about the page they are displaying. So going through a few of the metadata entries that are on here, we'll start off with default title. The default title will appear as the page title on all of your website pages. So do think carefully before adding any specific text here. So note that title tags are still the single most important piece of metadata on the page. The best title tags begin with the most relevant keywords, product name, or article name, and end with the name of the site. We've got page title separator. So this, as the name suggests, is the character or series of characters that you wish to use to separate your page titles. And again, we'll see this when we look at the front end a little bit later on. Default meta description will get appended as the meta description on all of your website pages, with the exception of those where the page-specific settings, so as we'll see later with these tabs here, override the default settings. And again, we'll show this later. Descriptions are sometimes used by search engines as a descriptive black text that you see in the search result listing. Meta descriptions can help increase the customer click-through in search results, but will not necessarily impact search rankings. And then we have default meta keywords. They will get appended as the keyword metadata on all of your website pages, with the exception of those where the page-specific settings, again with these tabs here, override these specific settings. And again, they're shown later. So please do note, although meta keywords ceased to impact rankings in 2009, people do still use them, albeit with caution. Okay, so looking at the second half of the settings in the General tab on the SEO Settings screen, these do move away from metadata, focusing more on general SEO. So looking at convert non-Western characters, these will remove accents from characters where necessary. Enable system-generated canonical URLs. So this will allow the system to dynamically generate canonical URLs and insert relevant tags onto pages. And this is where you have not specifically defined these in the page's respective SEO settings. Do note, a canonical URL is a specific HTML element that helps prevent duplicate content issues by specifying the preferred version of a web page when multiple versions exist. And then finally down here, we have the ability to enable sitemap. This will allow the generation of a sitemap for use with search engines. A sitemap is a file or a page on a website that provides a structured list of URLs, helping search engines understand the site's layout and facilitating efficient indexing of its content. Enabling this option reveals subsequent options, allowing you to control what specifically is within that sitemap, as you can see here. And there'll be a separate video covering this in a little bit more detail. So next, let's navigate to the SEO settings for some of the specific site pages. The settings seen on these tabs are identical to each other. So for example, the ones you see in My Account are exactly the same set of settings you'll see in all of the other tabs. In this case, let's go to Home Page, where I've already pre-filled some information. So looking first at the metadata section. So these are fields similar to those seen on the General tab. However, they relate specifically to the page that's mentioned, so the home page in this case. The majority of these settings, excluding the title, will override the equivalent settings in the General tab. And we'll see this in the storefront in a later step. So coming a bit further down, you can see Open Graph data. So Open Graph is a protocol originally developed by Facebook to enable websites to integrate rich social media content when shared on social platforms like Facebook. So while Open Graph is still widely used and supported by major social platforms, we would consider this to be a legacy group of settings applicable only to users that already use Open Graph data. If you're just starting out to integrate SEO in your storefronts, we recommend using the metadata section above it. Then coming down to the bottom of this section here, we have a tracking scripts section. You can input tracking scripts on the highlighted page and specify where they appear in the page's code. So for example, if I say add new item, I get the ability to add a new script in here, which I can just paste in the script section. I can give that script a name and I can specify where that script will be placed within the page's code. Once you've finished, click on save, and then you can go ahead and add more scripts if you wish to, or just save the page. So let's go ahead and look at this on the front end now. So if we inspect the home page on the front end, we'll see how some of the defined metadata is being utilized. Remember, we completed these separate settings on the home page tab, meaning many of the general settings are overridden. So let's start off with the title. So the resulting title on the actual page itself, if I highlight over that, is a combination of the general title and the specified homepage title. For description, so if we have a look in the inspected code, you can see that the homepage description is being utilized. And then for keywords, which is one below it, again, you can see the homepage set of keywords is being utilized. Okay, so just for reference, I'm going to go back to the SEO settings and take a look at the My Account section. Now you can see in here that I've not specified any specific SEO settings. And the reason I want to show you this on the front end is to see how that it utilizes those default settings we were talking about. If I go back onto here and go to the My Account section, again, take a look in the code, and you can see that a lot of those entries, so the descriptions, the keywords, and the title, are now utilizing information from the General tab.